She had the perfect man, the perfect wedding dress, and the perfect venue. But one recording the night before the wedding changed everything. The white wedding dress hung near the window, looking clean and beautiful. But inside the room, Zara sat still, her hand resting gently on her swollen belly, 7 months pregnant, her eyes locked on nothing. The house in Lagos was filled with laughter, music, cousins shouting over jollof rice, and aunties fixing gelly in front of mirrors. But inside Zara's childhood room, there was quiet, too much of it. She was 28, calm and elegant in a way that only women who have seen pain and survived it can be. Everyone said she was lucky. Idris was a catch, intelligent, wealthy, well-spoken. He told her she was his world, held her hand during antenatal visits, kissed her belly every night and said, "You're carrying my legacy." Tomorrow they were meant to marry. The hall was booked in Ibadan. White chairs, cream flowers, matching aso-ebi. The dream. But today Zara's heart felt tight in her chest. "Z," came a voice behind her. It was Auntie Rayliat, her cousin, who was 5 years older, always loud and constantly chewing gum as if it was part of her identity. "You're just sitting here? You won't even surprise your husband-to-be?" Zara looked up slowly. "What do you mean?" "You bought him that gold wristwatch, right? Go give it to him yourself. He's in Ibadan already. Show him you're his woman." Zara smiled faintly. "I'm tired, Auntie. My feet are swollen." "Exactly why it'll mean more. Do it for love," Rayliat insisted. Zara hesitated, her fingers brushing her belly. Auntie Rayliat leaned closer. "You're marrying the man tomorrow. If you can't knock on his door tonight, who should?" Zara gave a small smile. "I'm exhausted. My legs are heavy. I just want to rest." Rayliat clicked her tongue. "You and this your tiredness. Okay, no problem." She stood and walked out quickly, pretending not to be upset. But the moment she left the house, she made a phone call. However, something in Zara's heart continued to trouble her. As she sat alone, she looked at the wristwatch she had bought for Idris and the small love letter she had written. Then she stood up slowly and whispered, "Let me just give it to him myself." 2 hours later, Zara was inside a Bolt car heading to Ibadan. She wore a simple blue dress and held the small paper bag. She had no idea she was going to walk into a moment that would change everything. The road from Lagos to Ibadan was quiet that night, lit only by the soft streetlights and the thoughts spinning in Zara's head. The driver hummed a gospel tune. Zara stayed silent, her hand resting protectively on her belly. When they reached the hotel, it stood tall and quiet under the moonlight, Royal Crystal Suites. Clean glass doors. Gentle lights. It's not a place where hearts should break. She stepped out slowly, thanked the driver, and walked to the reception, heels clicking on the tiled floor. "Good evening," she said at the reception. "Please, I want to see Mr. Idris." The young lady behind the desk typed into the computer and smiled politely. "Yes, ma. He checked in this morning. But he has a visitor with him at the moment. The visitor came in about an hour ago." Zara looked confused. "Visitor? Is it a man or a woman?" The receptionist replied, "A woman, ma. She's still with him. And Mr. Idris said he doesn't want to be disturbed." Zara felt something sharp in her chest. She forced a smile. "Okay. Thank you." She moved toward the elevator like someone in a dream. As she waited, her reflection in the mirrored doors stared back with tired eyes, soft lips pressed together, a calmness that felt more like a shock. It could be his sister, she told herself. Maybe a wedding planner. Maybe anything. But when the elevator doors opened and she stepped onto the 7th floor, the quiet hallway felt like it already knew. Her feet carried her slowly past room 705, then 707, and then she heard it. Laughter. A woman's voice. Then Idris's voice was clear, confident, laughing the way he only did when he was completely himself. Zara's heart cracked just a little. She moved closer, her ears now against the wooden door of room 709. Then she heard it. "Zara is too emotional these days," Idris said with a laugh. "I'm only marrying her because of the baby. Without that child, she's nothing. After the wedding, I'll own everything." Zara didn't cry. She didn't scream. Her fingers trembled, but her mind went sharp. She pulled out her phone. Hit record. She stood still for 6 long minutes and captured the truth. By the time the elevator opened again, Zara was no longer the woman who walked in. Zara sat silently in the back seat of the Bolt car, staring out at the quiet roads of Ibadan as the city lights blurred past. The phone in her lap still glowed. The recording was saved. 6 minutes of betrayal, laughter, moaning. Her fiancé's voice saying she was just a tool. The driver glanced at her through the mirror. "Madam, are you okay?" She nodded. "Yes, just tired." But she wasn't tired. She was awake entirely. For the first time in weeks, there was no fog around her heart, only clarity. Instead of heading home, she asked the driver to stop at a 24-hour pharmacy. She bought water, tissues, and a memory card. She backed up the recording, then emailed it to herself. She sat in the car for 5 full minutes, breathing in and out, one hand on her belly. "You are not a trap," she whispered to her child. "You are my freedom." At home, everyone was still awake, preparing for the wedding. Zara entered quietly through the back gate. No one noticed her. She slipped into her room and locked the door. On her bed lay the wedding veil. She didn't cry. She just stared at it. It no longer looked like a crown. It looked like a lie. She picked up her phone and began making calls. The first was to her uncle Tayo, her godfather and the main investor in Idris's real estate company. "Uncle, I need you to pull out your investment immediately. Please don't ask me why. Just trust me." There was a pause. Then, "Okay, I trust you." The next call was to her lawyer. "Barrister, I need the marriage license canceled before tomorrow morning. Officially. I don't care the cost." He tried to ask questions. Zara cut him short. "Just do it." By the time she hung up, her hands were still calm. The house was loud outside. Decorations, dancing, chicken frying in the backyard. But inside her room, Zara sat cross-legged on the floor and began writing a list. A list of people who needed to be in that church tomorrow, not for a wedding but for a revelation. She would not walk down the aisle for Idris. She would walk down it for herself. The morning sun rose gently over Ibadan, brushing the rooftops with gold. In most homes, that kind of light would feel like a blessing. But for Zara it felt like a drumbeat. Boom, boom, boom. Each ray pushed her closer to the moment she would reveal the truth. Outside, her family compound was already buzzing. Aunties in wrappers and slippers were singing gospel songs. The decorator was tying bows on the wedding convoy. Someone was yelling, "Where's the flower girl's shoe?" The aroma of fried puff danced through the air. Zara sat in front of her mirror while the makeup artist worked quietly. "You're so calm," the woman said. "Most brides are shaking." Zara smiled softly. "I'm ready." Her white gown hung on the wall behind her. It still shimmered, still floated like a dream, but it no longer meant what it once did. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from her lawyer. "License canceled. Registry confirmed. No valid marriage can take place today." Zara exhaled. Downstairs, Idris had already arrived in his wine-colored Igbada. He looked perfect, flashing smiles, hugging guests and thanking the MC. The cameraman was filming him like royalty. Beside him, in a gold-laced gown and red lipstick, stood Auntie Rayliat. Her smile was too wide, too sweet. She leaned in to fix Idris's cap, her fingers brushing his jaw too slowly. Zara watched from the window. Her face didn't change. She turned to her bouquet, white roses, gold ribbon. Beautiful. But hidden inside was something more powerful than petals. A small Bluetooth speaker connected to her phone. Once she stepped into the church, all she needed was 30 seconds. Her father knocked on the door. "My daughter," he said, holding a small Bible, "can I pray with you?" Zara stood. He held her hands. "May this marriage bring peace, joy, and honor." "Amen," Zara whispered. But in her heart, she prayed a different prayer. Let the truth be louder than the lies. The cars were ready. The convoy moved. People danced. Cameras rolled. Everyone believed they were going to witness love. But Zara was about to give them something else. Not a wedding, a war. The church in Bodija stood tall and proud, trimmed with gold ribbons and lined with rows of pink flowers. A giant banner fluttered above the gate. Welcome to the union of Idris and Zara. Inside, everything looked perfect. Guests fanned themselves and whispered about how stunning the bride must be. The choir rehearsed softly. Ushers moved up and down, adjusting chairs and distributing programs. The pastor adjusted his microphone. Everything was in place. Outside, Idris stood near the entrance, beaming like a prince. He shook hands, posed for selfies, and whispered jokes to his groomsmen. Occasionally he checked his phone. "She's late, oh," his best man said. Idris smirked. "She'll come. Where will she go with my baby inside her?" Auntie Rayliat stood a few feet away, pretending to snap photos of the flower arrangement. Her phone was in her hand, but her eyes were locked on Idris. She bit her lower lip when their eyes met, then looked away quickly, hiding a wicked smile. In the bridal car outside, Zara sat in silence. Her makeup was flawless. Her veil rested gently on her face. But her hands were not calm. They gripped the bouquet with steady purpose. Her father sat beside her. "Are you ready, Zara?" She turned to him. "Yes, Daddy. I've never been more ready in my life." The door opened. Cheers erupted. "The bride is here." Phones came out. Children screamed in delight. Cameras flashed like lightning. Zara stepped out. And just like that, the entire compound shifted. People gasped. "She's glowing. See beauty. God took his time on this one." But Zara didn't smile. She didn't wave. She walked. Each step was deliberate. Calm. Like someone who is not going to be joined but to be unchained. Inside the church, the organ played. The crowd stood. Idris turned and his face lit up. "Ah." She came. He leaned toward his best man. "You see? I told you. Pregnant or not, she can't leave me." Zara reached the altar. Her father kissed her forehead and handed her over. The pastor began. "Today is a day of joy, where two hearts become one." Zara's fingers tightened around the bouquet. Her heart pounded. Because in less than 1 minute, the altar would speak. The church fell quiet. The pastor smiled warmly. "Brother Idris, your vows, please." Idris stepped forward and took the microphone with full confidence. His smile was wide, fake, polished, charming. "Zara," he began, turning to her like a man deeply in love. "From the first day I met you, I knew you were my peace. You are the mother of my child, the love of my life. I promise to honor you, protect you, and never let you feel alone. You complete me." The crowd clapped. Some guests dabbed at their eyes. Auntie Rayliat smiled smugly from the front row. The pastor nodded. "Beautiful. Zara, your turn." Zara slowly took the microphone. But instead of speaking, she reached into her bouquet quietly and pressed a hidden button. The sound system crackled. Then, like a thunderbolt, Idris's voice boomed from the speakers. "Zara is too emotional these days. I'm only marrying her because of the baby. If she weren't pregnant, I'd be gone." Gasps filled the room. A woman's voice followed. "You're wicked." Idris laughed. "She thinks this is love? She's nothing without that child. After the wedding, I'll control everything." Silence. Then kissing sounds. Moaning. The church froze. A phone dropped. One woman clutched her chest and whispered, "Yezu." Idris lunged forward, panicked. "Stop it. Turn it off." He reached for the microphone, but the pastor blocked him with a firm hand. Zara stepped forward. "No," she said softly. "Let it finish." The crowd watched in stunned silence as the recording played to its conclusion. When it stopped, Zara raised the mic to her lips. "This," she said, "was recorded in room 709 at Royal Crystal Suites in Ibadan. Last night, while I was home praying for today." Gasps turned into murmurs. She exposed him. That's his voice. After everything she did for him? Zara turned to Idris. "I carried your child. I trusted you. I believed your promises. But you were mocking me in bed with another woman." Idris tried to speak, but his voice broke. "Zara, please." She raised her hand. "Don't touch me." Then she turned to the audience. "And if you're wondering who the woman is..." Her eyes locked on Auntie Rayliat. "It's her." All heads turned. Auntie Rayliat froze in her gold lace gown, her fake lashes trembling as she blinked rapidly. Her mouth opened slightly but no words came out. Zara's voice remained calm. "Meet my cousin. My bridesmaid. My sister. The woman who shared my table and then shared my fiancé's bed the night before our wedding." Gasps turned to shouts. A woman screamed, "Abomination!" Another clutched her chest and fell back into her seat. Phones were out now. People were recording. Some cried. Some cursed. Others just stared in silence. Idris stood like a statue. His hands shook. His lips moved but no sound came. Auntie Rayliat tried to rise and sneak away down the side aisle. But Zara's voice rang out again. "Don't run. Stand in what you helped destroy." The pastor looked like he might faint. His Bible shook in his hands. Zara turned back to the crowd. "I came here today to marry a man I thought loved me. But I've discovered the truth, and I will not let shame keep me in silence." She removed her veil slowly, revealing her full face with its strong jawline, her eyes no longer soft but blazing. "I am walking away. Not broken, not defeated, but whole." She slipped off the engagement ring and dropped it on the church floor. It made a small sound, but it felt like thunder. Some guests stood. Others clapped softly. The choir didn't know what to do. Zara turned to them and said, "Sing, but not for love. Sing for freedom." And then she turned her back to the altar. The pastor called out, "Zara, wait." But she kept walking. Each step down the aisle was slower than the one before it. The entire hall watched, breath held. She didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She walked like a woman unchained. Outside, the sun hit her face as she stepped into the light. Fresh air filled her lungs. Children cheered again, not understanding why. And for the first time in days, Zara smiled. Not because she was about to be married, but because she had just set herself free. Inside the church, silence sat heavy, like smoke after a fire had burned. Idris sat on the altar steps, his head buried in his hands. The white agbada he once wore with pride now hung on him like a lie too heavy to carry. He looked small, empty, ashamed. His mother came storming down the aisle, her wrapper flying, head tie nearly slipping off. "Idris," she shouted, her voice sharp like a knife. "What is this shame? What nonsense did I just hear?" Idris stammered, "A mummy? I didn't know she recorded it." She slapped the back of his head. "You're a fool. A disgrace. A woman is carrying your child, and this is how you treat her." Auntie Rayliat had disappeared. Someone said she ran out the back door crying, shoes in her hands. Nobody chased her. The choir had stopped singing. The ushers stood still, confused. Guests left quietly in groups, some shaking their heads, some whispering, some just looking tired. One woman muttered, "I came here with my last transport money for this?" Outside, Zara stood with her back straight. A small crowd surrounded her. Some people tried to hug her. Some just stood and stared. No one really had the right words. Then an old woman with gray hair walked gently towards Zara. She placed her hand softly on Zara's shoulder and said, "You are brave, my child. You did what many cannot do. Don't let anyone take this strength from you." Zara nodded. Her eyes filled with tears. But not a single one dropped. Then her father came and wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close. "Let's go home," he whispered. But Zara didn't move. She looked back at the church. Those tall white walls, they were supposed to witness a wedding. Instead, they had watched her wake up. "There's still one more thing I must do," she whispered. She turned and walked back into the church. No music, no dancing, no laughter, just eyes, all on her. She walked up the aisle slowly, one step at a time. Her belly was in front of her, her truth behind her. When she reached the altar, she turned to the people and spoke with a calm but firm voice. "This moment is not just about me," she said. "It's about every woman who trusted, who gave her heart and was broken. For every girl who thought being pregnant meant she had to stay quiet. Stay small." She looked around, not blinking. "I am walking away not because I'm weak, but because I finally remembered who I am." Then she looked at Idris one last time. Her voice did not shake. "I forgive you, but I will never belong to you." She turned and walked back down the aisle. This time, everyone stood. and they clapped. Not for a wedding, but for a woman who refused to be broken.